I am Varun Agarwal, Senior Associate Editor of ETCIO, and I welcome you all on behalf of ETCIO and Citi to today's webinar on this topical discussion around network transformation for digital pursuit. In today's era, the cloud-first strategy is the new normal. With business being distributed, mobile and cloud adoption is imperative for agility, flexibility, and choices. As organizations increasingly drive digital transformation initiatives and adopt hybrid multi-cloud, the network must be re-architected to support new age topologies. Hence, network transformation gains predominance. So in today's session, you'll hear about how Citi's network services for modern businesses are designed to help customers harness the true potential of cutting-edge cloud, digital, and network technologies to help them accomplish transformation goals and meet business dynamic business requirements capably. So to kick off today's session, we have with us Manish Kakkar, who's the business head network services at Citi Technologies. Manish is an executive leader who loves to strategize, transcend business needs, build stronger teams, and optimize capabilities, and is consistent in providing deliverables on time and within budget. He holds a background of 23 years in overcoming profit and growth challenges, streamlining business operations, brand promotion, business acquisition, and new market initiatives to maximize business profitability. Manish is responsible for Citi's telecom and network-centric business across business verticals for India geography. His key focus is to build on network transformation service offerings to enterprise customers. So with that, I would like to welcome Manish, and over to you.
Thank you, Varun. Thanks for the intro and setting up the context. I, on behalf of Citi Technologies, welcome you all to this webinar. Thank you all for taking out time of your busy schedules to make it for the webinar today. If you look back, the past few months have been very difficult, not only in our working, we all braving and fighting the pandemic, balancing pressures of work, home, and at the same time adopting innovative ways of connecting with each other. As I see it, I think the positive side to this whole pandemic and the difficult time that we are going through is that we have discovered this novel and effective medium of connecting with each other, which is virtually, right? And technology indeed has played a big role during this time in ensuring that there is business continuity, the dialogues continue, and businesses progress. So thank you again for joining. The topic that we've chosen for today's session, as Varun highlighted, is quite relevant and appropriate with regard to what we are experiencing in the fast evolving digital world. Each of us present today, the audience as customers, the CXOs on this webinar today, we come from very different industry verticals. And in our respective journeys of taking our businesses further in this digital adoption, each of us really are in different stages of that journey, right? While the pursuit for digital continues, and it is definitely a journey, as I said, and not a destination yet, the thought behind conceiving this topic for discussion today was to look at the role of networks in this digital adoption journey, and to witness that how networks have been evolving with respect to demands of the digital technologies and the ever evolving digital platforms which are coming. To kickstart this session, I would want to take a step back and take you back into the memory lane about 15-20 years back, right? When the networks, the enterprise networks in the form and shape that we see today really started evolving. Networks we see over these last 20 years have constantly been evolving, as I said, and there have been changing needs of businesses that the networks is doing a catch up, right? Where there were the old days of satellite access, the VSATs, the PAMA DAMA technologies, to IPLCs, to long distance networks, to MPLS, internet, and here is where we are right now, right? So the whole idea was to take you through this journey of how networks have evolved over this time span, and more importantly, to take you through the fast changing technology and business paradigms which is shaping the world around us, right? The network today, amongst all this, is clearly at crossroads. And this is important for us to understand because the expectations that we have with cloud and digital adoption happening at good full steam, customers are demanding networks to play a catch up. I would differ and say, for networks rather to play a catch up, why can't networks be laid and technologies be adopted more proactively, hence making a clear case for the topic for today, which is network transformation, right? With this, I would want to take your attention to the SIFI vision. And this is the SIFI vision statement that you see on the screen. And I'll read it and then spend half a minute on it. We at SIFI help our customers to achieve their digital ambition through our cloud at core product and services. And the two keywords in this slide, are digital ambitions and cloud at core, which you also see in a different color, right? We will deep dive into what are the digital ambitions and how we are helping our customers to achieve some of those through our product and offerings. But the second keyword, which is cloud at core, is the central theme around all our service offerings, right? Whether it is network or cloud or data center, right? Around everything that we do, cloud at core is deeply embedded. So in this session, we will see how the network services are closely intertwined with this philosophy of cloud at core. Right. With that, I move on to the agenda slide and to cover what in the next 45 minutes to about 50 minutes of this session that we will cover, and followed by Q&A. This is broadly what we will cover today. Right. We will look at what is shaping digital enterprises, some of the trends around digital, what businesses are experiencing, some of the digital ambitions that enterprises have, and more importantly, what is changing in their environment for them to look at adopting digital. We will then link this to network transformation, as I stated, and look at some of the triggers for network transformation, which is making and fulfilling some of these digital objectives for enterprises. Right? Amongst the triggers for network transformation that we'll cover in detail, and there is a slide or two on each one of them that I will take you through, is emergence of internet, cloud-ready networks, emergence of managed Wi-Fi as a enterprise mobility platform, application focus and the use case for SD-WAN, and growing importance of network orchestration and visibility. We will deep dive into why SIFI through our entire gamut of services that we offer is a strategic partner that you should look for, not only for network centric services but for the complete ICT play. And last but not the least, a view of the complete network centric service portfolio that we have at SIFI. With that, I will move on to the first section, which is what is shaping digital enterprises. Let's look at some of the trends which is forcing a lot of enterprises and companies to look at adopting digital. The first pillar in that, I think, and you will relate, most of you will relate to this, is focus on user experience. I think with digital adoption and digital platforms and technologies taking forefront in taking business decisions and enabling businesses for their future, a lot of focus is on user experience today. Look at the environment around us. Look at some of the large banking customers out there whom we are subscribed to as customers, the large banking organizations, and they are doing everything possible under the sun to make sure that they are able to provide an enriched user experience to their customer who's coming in, not only through the banking channels, not through a walk-in, but through omni-channel experience that they provide to customers. Look at how an Amazon, a Flipkart, or a Walmart is differentiating themselves with respect to each other so as to provide an enriched user experience. So when we talk digital, I think what is on everyone's mind is, how do I go and impart enriched user experience to my end customer? So I think that's at the forefront of digital adoption. The second pillar is around enhancing self-service capabilities. How do organizations make sure that most of the work for meeting our customer expectations are in the DIY models, which is do-it-yourself model, which is more service with lower cost. How do we make sure that technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning can come into customer self-service? Because today in the omni-channel world, customer can come through any door, any channel, and come and experience the services that an organization has to offer. So technology in form of artificial intelligence and machine learning has a big role to play. The third pillar is around enhancing employee productivity. And in this pandemic world, in the COVID-19 environment that we've seen, all our employees today are working from home, right? So the digital workplace is completely a reality today, which is embracing collaboration and productivity tools like the ones we are using right now. The other big focus is how do I continuously make sure that my employees are undergoing training and their development is happening like it was happening in the pre-COVID environment, right? So, so the organizations have got distributed, employees are working from home. There is very less control that organizations have on people, but at the same time, there are objectives to be met. So training and development is a continuous activity. And at the same time, telecommuting is something that we are doing right now instead of all physical commuting. How do I make sure that I'm virtually communicating with everyone and meeting the same objectives that I was doing in the pre-COVID environment? So enhancing employee productivity is a very important pillar of digital adoption, and a lot of digital tools in the last 6-7 months have emerged primarily at the back of this pillar. The fourth large pillar is to focus on innovation in processes and tools. So how does the organization make sure that we are using the optimum use of people, processes, and tools to enhance productivity and efficiency, right? How do I make my businesses and organizations more agile? How do I outsource most of my operations so that I can focus on my core business, my core expertise, right? So there is a continuous drive for digital. There is continuous drive for automation, right? And technologies like RPA and automation that various organizations are adopting today are a step in this direction, right? To make sure that we are using and automating most of our processes so that our customers have a good user experience. At the same time, there is efficiency internally. And last but not the least, how do businesses ensure that in this very uncertain environment that we are living today, there is sustainability and growth in our businesses, right? How to promote growth through new products, new markets, omni-channel experience to customers, right? The traditional brick and mortar organizations and businesses are giving way to digital businesses. If you see most of the businesses around us today, right from our retail experiences to our banking experiences to travel to food to aviation, everything is going digital, right? Brick and mortar or a mom and a pop shop that exists today where one can walk in and buy stuff for himself, right? They're all omni-channel, all virtual, all online. So how do I make sure that I compete with the best of competitors using technology and still still post sustainable growth, right? So sustainable operations is a big area of focus for a lot of organizations in this digital world, and a lot that is happening around digital, around cloud, around new age networks is all derivative of this important pillar, right? So these are some of the large pillars which are driving and the large trends that are driving digital adoption in organizations. With that, let me take you through to what is the role of the network really that in this digital transformation that the organizations are going through. For that, if you see on left hand side of my screen, this is the current state of the networks today, right? And on the right hand side is the new age network needs. So the current networks today are, as I spoke earlier, all MPLS based. Traditional hub and spoke architectures. Enterprise internet was being used, but as a backup option, either for browsing or for lesser mission critical applications. The data center was really sitting at the center of the network, acting as a hub. The networks were largely availability based, which is how do I deliver a 99.5, 99.9% SLAs was the end objective of architecting networks, right? Also, because of the primary secondary setup between the primary network and the secondary network, there was an underutilized bandwidth sitting in the active passive arrangement, which is that most of the secondary bandwidth that organizations were using were underutilized. The routing architectures were largely static and hardware centric, which meant that if you had to, you had a 500 location network and you needed to make changes and updates on the software on the routers, you had to do it device by device, which meant a huge amount of time lag as well as resource cost to be able to make your resources go to the field and make and affect those changes. The journey that I described earlier, the 15-20 years journey of networks, different networks came up at to fulfill different needs at different times, right? There was a corporate data network. On top of it came the voice network, the video network, the Wi-Fi network. And so the networks kept adding on top of each other as parallel networks and never existed as a unified network, right? It was, I call this like a band-aid approach, right? For every need that I had, I put another band-aid on the network and it kept going. With digitization, cloud adoption, and pervasive mobility that is shaping most of the enterprises and the digital arena today, the networks are largely moving to a more distributed networks because of movement of apps to cloud. Because the data center is no more the hub of the network. The applications are distributed across the network to different hybrid multi-cloud environment, right? Also, the network today is using multi-transport, right? So if there is a broadband available, if there is a 4G, 5G internet available, you can use the same for enterprise network. And when 5G really comes as use cases, you will see a lot of it getting adopted in the enterprise landscape, like your broadband or your enterprise MPLS is getting used today. There is also an increasing need of local internet breakout because the applications are all distributed, and we will see this as a big trigger of network transformation and how internet is becoming more and more fit for businesses and getting adopted by businesses. The network, instead of availability based, which is SLA based on how much uptime that I get, is also becoming more and more application centric and application focused. So what are the application SLAs that the network can deliver is a big focus area. And then added to it are the software functionalities of what the network can deliver through software controls and management, right? And the networks ask in this large complex landscape which is evolving in front of us, is that we should have a unified, centrally managed view of the network rather than managing multiple networks as in the previous case, right? As it is right now. All this emphasizes the need for network transformation, right? This slide basically is establishing the needs of the new age network and why network transformation should be looked at. So if we cover network transformation, there are broad 3 tenets of network transformation at which you should watch out for, where the transformation either is needed or is happening, right, in our environments. So these 3 tenets are transformation at the core, transformation at the management layer, which is at the network operating center layer, and transformation happening at the network edge. Let me describe each one of them, right? Transformation to the core is primarily happening because of movement of data center to the cloud and SaaS adoption. A lot of applications are moving to software as a service, right? Getting to the cloud. And that is why data center no more, as I said, is the center of the network, right? The network needs to be connected to multiple clouds today, right? Because the data center has got extended to multiple clouds, right? Agility and speed to market are the key drivers for transformation happening at this layer. We will cover this in much greater detail when we look at hybrid cloud and hybrid network in the subsequent slide. Then there is transformation happening at the management layer. See, as I said, the networks are becoming complex. Many more networks are getting added. There is an increasing demand and need for from the networks, right? So the monitoring, management, and issue resolution of the networks today is a core issue. Added to that, there is a complexity of multiple service provider making those services available, and hence a need for consolidation and management of those multiple service providers. If you look at any large corporate today, they would have in excess of about 5 to 6 service providers servicing them, and the IT and the telecom staff are having a nightmare to manage those multiple service providers, because there's a lot of finger pointing on each other when there is really an issue in the network, right? And so there is also a faster need for resolution, right? Which means the response times for our networks to come up is extremely in high demand, right? So the downtimes that businesses, they can't afford downtimes today, right? Hence, there is a need for transformation at the management layer, which is outsource the management, monitoring, and visibility of the complete network, so that issue resolution can happen faster. And the third layer is really happening around the network edge. And let me tell you, in the next 4 to 5 years, we will see a revolution happening on the network edge, because network edge, as I define it, is the cornerstone of any successful business. It is the bridge between the organization and its customers. This is where really the business gets transacted. Applications get delivered to the target audiences. It is also the place where a lot of IoT devices, sensors, information exchange happens in real time over our screens, right? Today, if you look at our handheld, our mobile devices, all the applications that we access there is getting transacted at the edge, right? So any router, any switch, any screen, our mobile devices are all the network edge, right? And it is also extremely instrumental in defining the end customer experience. If you transact on a banking site, on your net banking, or on your app banking, right? How easy it for you to transact a business, and so that you don't have to open your laptop, is what defines your mobile banking experience, right? So the network edge in the coming 3-4 years, 4-5 years, will see a lot of revolution happening. And so there is a need for networks to upscale themselves and meet the demands of that extended edge. So in summary, the transformation, and all of you who might be wondering where do we start from a network transformation perspective, should look at each of these 3 areas and see, and we will detail that in the subsequent slides now, that where is the transformation happening, what are the needs of the new age networks, are the networks geared up to meet those demands, right? With that, we will deep dive into these triggers for network transformation, the same thing which I just described. There are 5 large triggers for network transformation as we look at it today. The first one being the emergence of internet fit for business. The second one around, are the networks cloud ready, which means the role that network interconnects play, and we will have a good look at it, and what networks have to step up to meet their demands. The third one being the emergence of Wi-Fi as an enterprise mobility platform. The fourth one on application performance focus and the trigger for SD-WAN. And last but not the least, the growing importance of network orchestration, the case which I said, the second tenet of network transformation, which is around visibility and single pane of glass, right? Where I can have a full control, full visibility of my network and network assets. So let's deep dive into each one of them. Where are those triggers sitting? And maybe as I go through them, you can internalize in your respective organizations, where are those, where are your organizations right now from each of the trigger perspective, and maybe you'll be able to relate to network transformation at large. Okay, so moving on to the first trigger, which is emergence of internet and the emergence of hybrid network, right? We've all heard about hybrid cloud, right? So there's a term called hybrid WAN with respect to network, which I'm introducing. So if you look at the traditional hub and spoke topology of MPLS on the left-hand side diagram on the screen, I'm pointing my mouse there. You see the data center as the hub of the network, at the center of the network, and then whether it is your factory locations, your branch offices, your banking regional offices, or your regional offices at large, they all were connecting to the data center because all applications were being hosted at the data center in the hub. right? The MPLS offered a hub and spoke or a full mesh architecture, which was very ideal for this data center centric architecture. But as we move to the cloud and the SaaS world, uh, we see that the data center is much more distributed, right? So you have your primary data center, the secondary data center hosting some of the applications. Most of the applications have either moved to the SaaS environment or the IaaS environment. The example of SaaS, the classic example of SaaS is Office 365, the exchange, which has moved from the data centers to the SaaS environment. And then a lot, infrastructure as a service, public cloud and private cloud instances. So the data center is no more centrally located. All the applications are distributed across your data centers and the cloud environment. So now imagine any mobile user trying to access an application directly on the public cloud, right? Need not go and touch the data centers, right? So they need to establish a connection directly to the AWS or the Azure cloud or to Office 365 application. The MPLS, so-called MPLS connectivity, which existed right now, there is a greater need of breaking out locally and reaching out to the cloud instances, right? With that regard, internet is increasingly getting used for local breakouts to SaaS cloud, which is paving the way for hybrid network architecture. So what I called as hybrid WAN is the mix of internet and MPLS being used in our corporate networks, and internet, which was not dependable yesterday, is much more dependable today because of the SLAs which can be delivered on internet, and internet is really fit for business. I think this is a major change when we look at architectures in and the move to digital and cloud. Added to this, there are active configurations also possible once there is local internet breakouts possible on the same devices, and SD-WAN enables that. So also making sure that you do not have idle capacity sitting in your networks. So when you look at your own networks, imagine where you are right now. I'm sure this change is happening as we speak, and internet is being used as a primary medium in enterprise networks, right? So this is the first large trigger that you should keep in mind, which is around the hybrid WAN. The second large trigger is around cloud-ready networks, right? And if we look at, we saw earlier on the traditional versus the new age network, there is a change in paradigm with cloud adoption. There is an application intent on the network rather than network intent, right? Which means application performance SLAs rather than network SLAs, right? There is a focus on how my application behaves on the network. Is it responsive enough? Is my end user getting the application response times as desired, or is the user experience enriched? So all these are change in paradigms over the previous world that we were operating in. And to demonstrate this fact, let me take you through the diagram on the slide, which is a deep dive into one of our city networks, which is Mumbai, right? And if you look at the network here, if you will see that there are various transit points connecting the cloud and the major data centers, right? So there are public cloud instances. There are the NLD nodes within the city, which we call as intercity transport nodes. There are various co-location, third party as well as CP owned, and then there are cable landing stations in the city, right? When your applications are in the cloud, you need to make sure that at any point in time, the cloud is connected with all these transit points, including the data centers, right? So for example, in Mumbai, in this example, I have third-party data center, which is NetMagics, DAKC, GPX, and Control-S, and so on and so forth. And then I have CFI's own data centers, which is in Airoli and Rabale, right? So the need for any large corporate is that if my application is, for example, hosted at say NetMagic data center, then and I have a public cloud instance hosted at Rabale, then my network should be seamless, right? There should be ubiquitous connectivity to the data centers and multiple public clouds. Then only this distributed architecture is successful, right? And then the concern over this is that, I should get the same speeds in excess of about 400 gig and more, like I was getting in my data centers, right? When my application, I'll give you an example, right? If you have an application hosted in your data center, and say a database instance hosted in public cloud, then this app and the DB will need to work together, right? Like it used to work in the data center environment. So which means that the network cannot afford a greater than 1 millisecond latency, right? Or maybe microsecond latencies between the app and the DB. And now these app and the DB are distributed. One is there present in the data center, and the other one is present in the public cloud. So they should work together. So look at the demands on the network. The demands on the network is, one, it should be connected to all the transit points in the city. The second demand is it should guarantee availability, and it should be latency sensitive, so that my microsecond latencies are delivered over the distributed app and the DB. And then all this should be protected because I have very sensitive data flowing all over the network. This is what I call as cloud-ready networks. So the demand of the networks is that the networks they are constructed today, not only by you but also by service providers like us, should proactively meet the needs of the cloud-ready environment, right? And CP in that direction is heavily invested into putting this network in place. We have the major public cloud providers like AWS, GCP, Azure, and Oracle hosted in our data centers out of Airoli, Rabale, and Noida, and that gives us a great edge over other competitors because we are really invested into this cloud at core as a philosophy, and making sure that our networks are cloud ready on day one, right? The third big lever, as I described, is emergence of Wi-Fi, right? I think all of you will be able to relate to this big trigger, because as you go through an upgrade of your office LANs, obviously offices are closed right now, but if an update on your upgrade on your wireline network comes today, you would prefer not to upgrade it, but to go for an all wireless office, right? And this is largely because, look at multiple screens, multiple BYOD devices that our employees bring to our offices. Added to that are our employees, our guests, the sensors, the IoT devices, which are all connecting via Wi-Fi to a common network, right? Added to this are limitations of the static wired LAN, right? The static wired LAN, as you all know, is a tethered connection into our laptops, right? Most of the new BYOD devices even do not have a LAN port today, and it is highly inflexible, and it also gives a very poor user experience because the network always has to be plugged into your device, right? It is also very difficult to apply uniform policies and security controls when there are so large amount of users using the same network, and also distributed in nature. Adding to this, I think a major development earlier this year around the March-April timeframe, which happened, is the launch of Wi-Fi 6.0. So all of us who had that perception in mind that the Wi-Fi is not scalable, it cannot deliver multi-gigabit speeds just like wired speeds, is no more. So Wi-Fi 6.0 guarantees that multi-gigabit performance is available just like the wired speeds on wireless networks. And all access controls, network controls, security controls are all built into the Wi-Fi 6.0. The Wi-Fi also today is a big aggregation point, which is also a problem area for a lot of us, right? Which the Wi-Fi is acting like a consolidation network for employees, guests, and all the devices and sensors and IoT devices that come and connect to the network. So a uniform policy can be adopted and applied to all these categories of devices and users that come and connect to the same network, right? So it really gives us one network view, a deep visibility into performance and usage of mobile and web applications as per different roles. And if an employee has to move from one location to the other, it also gives complete enterprise mobility to that employee, so that all his data as well as his credentials also move seamlessly along with him. So especially in large organizations where users move across organizations, and if they've deployed a platform on enterprise mobility, just like managed Wi-Fi network, so that network will give enterprise mobility and device type and location specific insights into all these users. So at CIFI, we have a service called CIFI Edge Connect, which is the managed Wi-Fi service from CIFI. All the features that I spoke about and all the benefits of the managed Wi-Fi network are delivered on this platform. It's a cloud-based centralized management platform which is delivered to customers on a service-based model. There is end-to-end ownership of CIFI when we talk about. So you just need to give us access to your site. We will do all the groundwork, the site survey, and prepare a heat map of where all access points need to be deployed. We will get with deployment and support. And it's like a complete managed service, completely outsourced to CIFI. Okay, moving on to our next trigger, which is application performance focus. And to my mind, I think this is the single largest area which is gaining a lot of conversation and importance as we approach our customers today. And I'm sure you will be experiencing it yourself. In the cloud era that we are living in, SDN, which is software defined network, is a big network transformation enabler. Let us see why and how, right? So if you look at SD-WAN, it compared to the legacy WAN, most of the shortcomings of the legacy WAN are overcome by SD-WAN. Okay, customers, when they use SD-WAN, can use any service provider, any transport type, whether it is MPLS, ILL, broadband, 4G, in the future 5G, LTE, VoLTE, as enterprise connectivity options for their applications. Right? This is a big change because enterprise networks were always dependent on MPLS and MPLS providers to provide connectivity through them. SD-WAN has come and opened all these transport types to be available for enterprise networks, which is a big revolution. Right? It provides a cloud-based centralized management platform which gives us real-time visibility of all our network assets. Right, that's the biggest advantage, because a lot of our customers complained to us that I do not have control and I am not able to view my network assets and networks, especially when they are from different service providers on a single platform. So SD-WAN gives that unification and a centralized view about the real-time visibility of all the entire network and the network assets. A question that most of you ask us when we interact with you is that when I deploy my SD-WAN, will I have to do away with my existing network? The answer is no, right? The SD-WAN supports integration with the legacy network architecture. So you don't need to do any changes on your underlay network. You might choose to do, but I'm saying not necessarily. So without changing your underlay network, SD-WAN can come and sit on top of your network, right? And with additional features and controls that it gives you, you really need not disrupt your existing network, right? So you can adopt a new technology without even getting to know that anything got disrupted in the networks and as far as business continuity is concerned. It paves also a great use case for active-active configurations. I defined that earlier because since it supports all transport types, you can use an MPLS and ILL on the same box. You can use a broadband and ILL and ILL or any combinations thereof, and in active-active configuration. So there is no idle bandwidth sitting. So that clearly gives you a 30 to 35% cost saving on bandwidth cost on day one. Right, so most of our customers who've adopted, where we've re-architected the entire network for them and given them SD-WAN as part of network transformation, have enjoyed that benefit from day one. And then the other big advantage of SD-WAN is that there is zero touch provisioning, which gives a great agility and speed to market for the organizations, right? Which means you would not have to, because of the centralized control and software functionalities that SD-WAN delivers, the deployment of updates on the field or provisioning of new routers or switches can happen remotely with zero touch provisioning, right, at the click of a button. So that's the big advantage with SD-WAN has given, which has really given agility to business operations. And last but not the least, the most important, which I want to highlight, the biggest advantage of SD-WAN is it allows application prioritization against quality of service which MPLS used to deliver. Let me explain this, right? So we have different application types on the network at any point in time. We have a data network, we have a voice network, a video network, and maybe mission critical applications flowing on the network at any point in time. So when we defined quality of service on MPLS, it could only segregate these traffic types and give them priority. So any kind of, say, video traffic was classified in one quality of service type. Any type of voice traffic was classified in another quality of service type. But applications within the video stream could not get prioritized over the others, right? For example, if there is, say a WebEx or a senior management interaction happening over telepresence, which is highly mission critical for the organization, we can prioritize that application in particular and not only a traffic type. So that's the biggest advantage what SD-WAN gives, and that has given a control in the hands of the network administrator today, the CIOs today, that they can prioritize a particular application type and make the end user experience enriched. I think it is highly in line with the demands of the digital world and in the digital and the cloud adoption world, where a lot of applications are sitting in public clouds, in private clouds. A lot of them need to be prioritized over the network to make them reach the end users. So this is one of the biggest triggers for SD-WAN, if you look at it. Okay, and this is the CIFI managed SD-WAN view. So we use we offer this service in a service model. We primarily use two large OEMs, which is Cisco and Versa, and all their controllers are hosted on CIFI Cloud. And what we offer to the customer is one network, one policy, and one management view. Right, so they need not worry about depending on somebody else for their network management when we offer this platform to them, right? So all network management events like incident management, problem management, field management or analytics are all built into one common platform as a common visibility tool that is available to customers as part of this service. So really, when I look back and see all that I've stated till now on SD-WAN and network transformation, when we talk to our customers, so most of them feel that there is a need to simplify the networks, right? So there are so they end up either re-architecting or consolidating their network with zero touch point provisioning and other features that I just mentioned, and their ask is that how do I get more of my existing networks, right? So simplifying the networks, which is doing re-architecture and consolidating the network, minimizing the service providers that are present in the network, and then hence simplifying the overall management of them, with added SD-WAN functionalities like application focus, security, network management, and zero touch provisioning, all built into the platform. That is what CIFI network transformation services is all about. And that's why I say, network transformation and SD-WAN go hand in hand. Right. I'm moving to the last pillar of and the trigger for network transformation, which is, I think, the most important. And we've been building on that conversation till now in our slides, in our conversation. So, which is the growing importance of network orchestration and visibility. If you look at the diagram on the left hand side of my screen, most of you will be able to relate this to your kind of network, right? So, and this is how the networks have evolved over the last 15-20 years. So at any point in time, you had a need for your business and a need for network for your business, and that network came up in isolation. So there is a satellite network which came up about 15-20 years back. Added to that was the infrastructure network. How do I make sure all my mobile devices, my towers, they all communicate with each other? Added to that was a wireless LAN, a wireless network added, a wired network added, and now sensor network, IoT network. All networks have come over a period of time, but right now, if we look back and see, they all exist simultaneously, which makes the network management extremely complex. Right? There are multiple challenges in managing this organically grown network, right from service provider management, incident management, visibility of the network, the analytics on the network. All that is a mess because your network does not exist as a unified whole, right? And there is no common view of the network available. There are disjointed tool sets today, which every technology brought in over these years, and integration of these tool sets is highly complex, and that's where most of you face issues with, right? I can see my voice network separately, but it doesn't integrate with my data network. Right? There are issues like this. Then there are multiple providers. One network is managed by a couple of providers. The other network is completely on another set of providers. While there were concerns about building redundancy in the past, I think that's how all these issues have come up. Right? But now the need of the hour is to have one common view of the network, right? And that's what I call as orchestration and visibility. Today there is a need for trained expert teams who can bring their technical and operational know-how and knowledge to enhance the efficiency of customers' IT operations. Right? Let's look at some of the problems that you guys faced in the past years with your network management, and as and when your network assets started getting added, your erstwhile network providers started throwing resources or people to solve the problems, right? So if there was a new application which came and skill sets did not or tools did not exist, they deployed a couple of people on-prem with you so that they can handle those issues. The issue now is that there are so many newer technologies which are coming to the fore that it is cost-wise not possible to keep adding resources. At some point in time, we will have to depend on a pool of resources who can serve the customers in the shared model the best, right? This will also help contain cost for network management, right? And added to this is that today, the demarcation between the LAN and the WAN is very, very thin, right? So when you talk about network management, you do not really mean only WAN management, right? So the WAN has got extended to the LAN, and LAN is getting extended to the end user, right? So you need a complete view of the LAN, the WAN, LAN, and the end user, which is also also integration of IT, OT, and people, right? That's how I define it. IT is primarily WAN and WAN assets. OT is primarily LAN and your operational equipments, and your IoT sensors, and so on and so forth, and then devices that people are using, screens that people are using, right? So there's a merging ICT landscape, which is making the case for a unified network management, orchestration, and visibility, right? There is also a need, as I said, for a single pane of glass for network orchestration and analytics. Customers want to view all their IT assets, all their network assets on a single screen, So the picture on the screen shows that a classic view of the SIFI NOC, where we successfully display that, right, to our customers, where there is a single view beyond, even beyond the WAN, which is available for their complete IT assets as well as their OT assets, which is the LAN. Right, and all functionalities like this on the left hand side, which are listed like this: service desk, fault management, performance management, SLA management, network security. They are all built into our NOC offerings. Right. So when you're looking for maybe unification of your visibility tools, talk to us, because we can help you do that. We in fact handle some of the large mission critical networks in the country, right? The largest banking network, for example, is run and managed by us as a dedicated NOC. The largest stock exchange is managed of the country is being managed by us in this view. And one of the largest manufacturing organization depends on us for integrating their IT, OT, and people, as I said, right? So we have deep expertise on the tool sets, the unification of the LAN, the WAN, and the IT assets, and giving you a complete single pane of visibility, right? And these are the three variants of network management and operations from a SIFI standpoint. So network operations outsourcing, which means you can outsource your complete operations to us, or look for network consolidation, where we will do the network study assessment. We'll suggest you service provider consolidation and then complete CPE management. Or you can choose to outsource the complete transformation, network transformation and operations to us, where we will right from redesign, re-engineering to deployment of SD-WAN in your network, and giving you a single view of the network is all that we'll do. So all that I defined as a journey, we do under the third pillar. So coming to why why SIFI, and why should you look at SIFI as a strategic partner for network transformation? As I said, from going back from our lineage, SIFI understands the complete IT services ecosystem. We are a company whose philosophy is cloud at core. So right from cloud to data centers to wide area network to LAN and to end users, which have there is a clear interdependency of all this with each other, right? So the cloud, data center have to work together. The network has to upscale to make that happen. Your LAN is no more separate from the WAN today. Your end user is going to get into a major revolution as far as delivery at the edge is concerned. So there has to be one partner for you who can understand all these complex challenges and bring them together and make it work in your environment. We are also a unique player who have skill sets on network assessment, audit, and design. And this is independent. Whether you have us as a part of the network or not, we can do an independent network assessment, audit, and design for you, and come up with findings of where you are from your digital journey perspective and what things you need to plug into your network to make it more effective, right? And then, as I said, there are strong skill sets on network integration projects. We run some of the large mission critical networks in the country, like I said, and there are established credentials on the network at the core and network at the edge. Right. So all this package put together, I think, brings SIFI to a unique position of understanding your complete ICT landscape and making sure that you're in good hands. Right. And this is a view of our network-centric portfolio. So if you see right from MPLS to Cloud Connect services, I detailed some of them as a part of this journey and this slideware, to SD-WAN, complete network transformation services right in the middle. Is all that we detailed today. The Edge Connect services to IoT services and the enterprise voice is what we run as a complete portfolio. So this brings me to to the content, which to the end of content what I had to share. But so in summary, I would like to summarize of what all we spoke today. Which is network transformation for digital pursuit. Really, if you look at the left-hand side, these 5 or 6 pursuits are the real digital objectives that most of you are pursuing today, right? And network is a key enabler of making sure that all these digital objectives and digital ambitions are met, right? And this is achieved through the 5 triggers that we spoke about of the network transformation, and largely is achieved through transformation at the core, transformation at the management layer, and transformation at the network edge. That's where CIFI comes in. So with that, I come to the end of my presentation and would hand off to Varun for Q&A.
Thank you so much, Manish. That was quite an insightful presentation. In fact, we are getting a plethora of questions your way. The first question is from a gentleman who wants to understand that network transformation, as per your presentation, has various facets and can be done in stages. So where does one really start?
Okay, good question. I was anticipating, of all the maybe points I covered, people will be wondering where do we start, right? See, network transformation, as I said, is a lot of with digital adoption, a lot of organizations are expecting that network will do a catch-up. I think differently, because it is time for us to look into our IT landscape and see where are we from a digital journey perspective. It all depends where are we from our digital adoption perspective, right? So if you so the journey really starts with network assessment and audit of where we are from our journey perspective. What do we need to scale up to make up for the objectives that we have set for ourselves, and then really map it back to the 5 triggers for network transformation, which I said. So we have to look at, is the organization ready for an SD-WAN kind of a deployment? Is that need really there? Are they struggling with some of the challenges which I said? And then trace it back to what are the steps that I can take to make my networks more efficient? Is there a need to re-architect? Is there a need for consolidation of the network? Do I need to make it simplified, right? Rather than manage all the complexities in the network myself and have sleepless nights. Today, there are tools available, right, which can help all of this, give you a single view of your network at any point in time. You can sleep well, outsource your network problems to a provider who has experience in all of that. So really, you need to take baby steps, assess where you are from your journey perspective, and then maybe we can do an independent consultancy for you and suggest you where to start from. Right, it will begin from right away from mapping your own journey into digital adoption.
Great, Manish. The next question is about networks. So, a couple of days back, we saw a massive power outage in Mumbai that impacted the networks, and a lot of enterprise users also got impacted. So, something related to that, there's a question about how a traditional network, in a traditional network scenario, the bandwidth speed could be measured and could be ensured. But now, with new age networks, since everything's going to cloud, how does one guarantee speed performance, which is actually more dependent on the service provider?
Okay, good question. So I think in the new age networks, with all the controls being given back to you, I think you are in a better position than ever to get a hang of and control of all the network parameters that are delivered to you. So say a platform like SD-WAN, or even the network management tools which are made available to you through some of the services that we spoke about. Today, you can have complete control of your network. The network service provider is a call away if you need help. But at the same time, you will exactly get to know where is the outage, what device is causing the outage, what bandwidth is getting delivered, what uptimes are getting delivered. Most importantly, what is the applications getting delivered to the end users and how, right? So I think complete control is with you if you go for this complete adoption. So it leaves service providers to very little manipulation, if I may use the word, if that's on your mind, that in outages like this, you get a compromised service. It is not anymore.
Excellent. That's quite reassuring. So the next question is around re-architecting the network. The gentleman wants to understand what all aspects one should consider and assess before looking at re-architecting the network.
Okay, so when you look at the re-architecting your network, look at the 5 triggers which I mentioned, right? The emergence of hybrid WAN as first. What all applications are moving to the cloud? That will give you a good lever on how to see and make sure where do you increasingly use internet as a breakout option. Okay, so I think the first thing you need to see is your own cloud journey and the change network type that you need to match up to that cloud performance. Also look at how many service providers you have in your network, whether that's a big problem for you today or not. That brings us to the topic of consolidation. How much to consolidate, right? So look at that, because most of the problems that exist in the network today is because networks have existed in many pieces, right? As I said, networks came at different point in time. It came as a banded approach, right? Every time I needed a network, I set up a network separately. So they never were looking as one unified piece. Now is the time to look at that they all come together. And the third aspect is look at network management and visibility, because ultimately what you need is full control of your network, full visibility of your network. And when I say network, it goes beyond WAN today. There's a very thin line, as I said, between WAN and LAN. So maybe a year down the line, we will not be even discussing LAN. We will only be saying IT management and IT asset management. No, so I almost completed. So I think look at the triggers that we mentioned, right? And those are some of the thought points which will trigger the thoughts in your mind that where to start from, right? What to look for when we start network transformation.
Excellent. So we have time for one last question. So this question is more about OT systems, and the gentleman wants to understand that while you mentioned integration of IT and OT networks, do you actually have SOC for monitoring OT systems and networks?
I didn't get the last sentence of yours. Do you?
Do you have a SOC for monitoring OT systems and networks?
Yes, we do. So the integrated NOC and the SOC that I spoke about gives a complete view of your IT assets and your OT assets. So I will give you an example. For a large manufacturing customer, right, that where the complete IT and the OT visibility tool is outsourced to us. We manage it out of our integrated NOC and SOC, right, to the large customer, out of our shared facility in Chennai. So yes, answer is yes. So we can get a complete unified view, and that's the purpose.
Excellent. So thank you all for joining in. If you have any further questions, you can write into Citi directly. Manish would be happy to address your queries. With that, we've come to the end of the session. Request you to connect with us for more such sessions, and stay safe till then. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Varun.